that's the best thing about acting. You get to get thrown into situations you hopefully will never have to experience in real life. And being trapped underneath a house is something I haven't had the privilege to have happen to me yet.
Yeah, I don't have any clue what's going to happen, what could happen, what's supposed to happen past the end of season 2. And like I said, the end of season 2, you go like, what? What? It's so good. It really is good.
They don't tell us anything, which is sometimes nice. But it's a little bit of like, what's gonna happen? You know, what am I gonna see? Am I gonna die there? You know, Victor is there. How did Victor come in? Like, Victor knows the way.
It was all new, as it is for all of us, you know, with each script that we get. It always seems like there's like a new raisin in the kvass, as they say, you know what I mean, that we could start to work with.
What I love about the show is, I don't know if wholesome horror is the right term, but it's not just slam horror.
I'm seeing a lot of people pushed to their edge. You ever wonder if maybe that's the point?
But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Been a big fan of yours going all the way back to Oz and Romeo and Juliet, and I am a massive Lost fan. Coincidentally, most of the people in my family, kids, are all named after characters from Lost. So yeah, I got a Ben, a Jack, a Kate, a Danielle, a Kevin, and my niece's name is Sydney, so it all kind of connects.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. That's very cool. That's a new one, I'll be honest.
Awesome. But I mean, I was so obsessed with Lost when it came out, such a huge fan of that show, and there were so many imitators over the years, and none of them were really able to capture it until this series. This feels very much the same playbook, a little bit grittier and darker, but it has that balance of the mystery elements, the supernatural, but especially the ensemble, the cast, and these characters that you really invest in. What was it that drew you to this character? Did you know what the path was going to be beyond season 1 from the beginning?
I didn't. To answer your second question first, I didn't know the path, and I still don't know the path, and that for me is a good thing. You know, I know as much as I ever need to know in like the moments, and so that's one. So, but to answer your bigger question is like, what drew me to this project was Jack Bender and Jeff Pinkner. Mm-hmm. And I read the script by John Griffin, who wrote this amazing like pilot script, and I thought, if anybody can handle this script, Jack and Jeff can. Like, they had enough years of working with Lost and all the great crew over at Bad Robot, that they really know how to tell these types of stories that have some big supernatural element that's really hard to believe.
Right.
And then they set it up with characters that you believe wholeheartedly, and that's the way to tell the stories. And so they do that with characters and with music. And you know, Jack is a great painter and artist, and so he makes it visually really, really interesting and compelling. And so for all those reasons, I wanted to be part. That's what attracted me to the show, and I've been a fan of the show from my first read until now. I really think it's fun and interesting.
So when you started to read the season 2 scripts, it feels very much that there are some heavy-duty twists and turns that it takes in these opening episodes. Were you kind of taken aback, like, I want to see where this is going? Or did it kind of, I mean, obviously you know where things go by the end of this season. Do you have any more of an idea of where this is headed beyond now that you're in this second season?
Oh, at the end of the second season, I am even more confused than I was at the end of the first season.
In a good way, right?
I can't wait for everybody to see it, because they're gonna go like, yep, I understand why. Because it is really confusing. And this second season moves at like breakneck speed. It like, there's one problem after another problem after another problem. You don't even get a chance to like, you get some answers to things, but like the problem just comes right on its heel. The next new problem right on its heels. And so it makes the second season so completely different than the first season. The first season happened, and there were moments for us to like do backgrounds and see where, you know, Boyd came from and why he and his son there is no chance really for any of that in the second season because there's no chance to even catch your breath. They just have one problem after another, and so it's a really exciting season. At least I haven't seen it, but as I read it and did it, it's a really, really exciting season. So yeah, I don't have any clue what's going to happen, what could happen, what's supposed to happen past the end of season 2. And like I said, the end of season 2, you go like, what? It's so good. It really is good.
And nothing's obviously guaranteed, and there's never a guarantee that there will be a season 3, a 4, or 5. Who knows how far it can go? Right. Do you envision the twists and turns that these things can take? Are you with it for the long haul, no matter where this goes?
For me, the first 2 seasons have been so good. Like, yeah, I'm no matter where it goes, I am down, and we certainly are looking forward to having a season 3. And as soon as we find out, I'm going to be really elated about it. But I'm really excited about what we've done so far, and so yeah, I'm down to do whatever we're going to do, because I just think we have a great production team, and it's a really compelling, fun story to tell, and I love being part of this cast and working in Halifax, and the whole thing is a really great thing for me.
Well, from what I've seen, I have no doubt they'll be back. Congratulations on this series. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
All this was designed just to see how we react.
What if this ain't real? What if it's all just a dream?
This is a show that as soon as I saw the trailer and who was involved, I was in. And, coming from the creative team behind Lost and all of that, there's so much about these serial stories that is worth investing in. And the first season ends in that kind of cliffhangery way that I wasn't sure where this was going to be going. But this is a crazy season. It just amps everything up. And Eion, I'll start with you. You spend the beginning of this season kind of stuck. What was it like filming that? I mean, that's got to be arduous to do that.
Yeah, kind of stuck is right. It was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoy that's the best thing about acting, is you get to get thrown into situations you hopefully will never have to experience in real life. And being trapped underneath a house is something I haven't had the privilege to have happen to me yet. So it was the most challenging thing about it is just to act without really moving at all. I couldn't move my body, and could only, I guess, just move a bit like this, and that was kind of nice. That was an exercise in stillness, always worthwhile. So I really enjoyed it. Jim, on the other hand, had a hell of a time, but me, good times.
Very cool. And Catalina, you get to kind of go on a lot of exploring early in the season, and you're kind of figuring things out. I guess with all of the little things that pop up through this show, how much did you know leading into this? Did you have the whole season presented to you up front, kind of knowing where things were going, or were you getting the information piecemeal?
Oh, no, nothing. I didn't know anything. I knew that the first season, I knew that I was dropping into where they live, where the monsters live, but that was it. I'm like, okay, so we're going to figure it out very fast how to go out, right? Because we're not going to be shooting a long time. We were shooting down there for a while, so they don't tell us anything, which is sometimes nice, but it's a little bit of like, what's gonna happen? What am I gonna see? Am I gonna die there? Victor is there. How did Victor come in? Like, Victor knows a way. So it's just a lot of questions that you will discover by reading the scripts that come your way. But you won't know how the season is going to go.
And for both of you, you spent a lot of the first season, your characters were in physical proximity for a lot of that first season, and now there's that separation and people are split apart. Did the two of you connect at all on how your characters were being motivated and how you were feeling things, or did you just kind of separate and deal with that as just what's on the plate with these individual episodes?
We reunite in episode 2 or 3, I think. 2.
Yeah.
So it was not like a long period of time without reuniting. And when we reunite, like there are major things that happen. I mean, like he was stuck under a house for a night. People died. He didn't know that I was alive. I didn't know that he was alive. It was just a lot of information. And then when we meet again, it was kind of like a sigh of relief, and then the families together. And I think there is a very, after they lose a child, I think it's a lot of painful, you have PTSD when you don't have your family together. You just want them together. You just want to know that they're safe. And I think that's a beautiful kind of like moment when they just get together and they just have so much information to just tell the other person. But you can't, because one is like with ribs broken and like all crazy, and she is traumatized because of what happened. And it's actually very beautiful how it develops from then on.
Awesome. And I've been a fan of both of your work for such a long time, and I really love seeing you both in this show. I love season 2 so far. I can't wait for everybody to check it out. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alex.
Broken people don't survive here, boy.
Fear is what makes us heroes.
The thing I love about shows like this is that everybody comes because it's the mystery and there's all the twists and turns and everything that you uncover, but it's the characters that really make it worth investing in. And the two of you play easily my favorite characters in the series.
Yeah.
And we'll start talking about Donna. This character she's a badass. Like, she is in charge, but there's all of the nuances to her character. So Elizabeth, what did it take playing her and like kind of harnessing all of that for this show?
I think I find it such a great place to play. Like, I love playing her, and I love playing in that place. And I came up out of theater, and so I'm sort of like, I think there's a few characters. Victor's also another one, Jade, that I think there's a slight room for a bit of theatricality to them. So it's a lot of fun to do that. And that, the harnessing of it is, it comes and goes. Sometimes it's just there in the writing and I go with it. And then sometimes I really have to do a little check-in with, on set and say, I'm not going over the top. You'll let me know I'm not going over the top. Because I want to make sure she's modulated, that she's not just one hard ass and that's it. Like, because she's got a big heart.
Yeah.
And it can be hurt.
And that range definitely shows that, you empathize with her, but you also know that she's somebody that's going to stick up for her people.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's flawed. Like, and I love that too, is that she feels she can be so right sometimes, and sometimes she is so right, and then other times she's struggling with it.
And I think that the opposite of that is, Scott, with Victor, is that when in season 1, when we first see him, he could very easily have been kind of a cliche, two-dimensional character that people go, he's just the creepy guy, or he's just the comic relief, or whatever it might be. But he is so integral to this story and develops. And in season 2 especially, we see so much more about him than we did before. How much did you know in season 1 about what was going to be here for this character now, or was it all new?
It was all new. It was all new, as it is for all of us, with each script that we get. It always seems like there's like a new raisin in the kvass, as they say, that we could start to work with. So all, what I had at the beginning, and you're familiar with season 1, was, this idea that he had survived there the longest as a result of this massacre, this trauma. This thing that had happened, and that Victor's trauma was that's at his, as everyone's core. So that's what I had to start with. We've been talking a lot about, him being an enigma in that sense. And when I was sitting in the beginning of this, before I even showed up on set for the first time, I was kind of lost in that exploration of like, what is it to play as an actor, to play an enigma. But as you get further along and with the story and what's being revealed this season, like there's a person there, It's not about playing somebody who's odd or this or that or whatever else. I worked with an impression that I just got immediately from John's great writing. There's a music to Victor, kind of informed, that kind of came first, and then that kind of informed organically the way he walks. And, I almost sort of felt like he was like a creature, his own creature of the place in a way, and not in a negative context, but just, how he had adapted. But this season definitely, goes that trauma. A lot more about that trauma is revealed at its core, and I think you get to see who the person is.
Absolutely. And Elizabeth, going back to you, from what you said earlier about the theatricality of everything, genre storytelling oftentimes gets kind of written off as being lesser than straight drama or straight things. And there's so much here that if people don't give the series a chance and just kind of look at the supernatural elements, they might say, oh, it's just another scary story. But there's so much here. What do you think people who might be writing this and off and not checking it out, what are they missing out?
I think they're missing out on the humanity of it. That they're missing out on the relationships between the humans. I mean, there's so much mythology in it, and as we have mythology in our humanity, but there's just the day-to-day lives of people. And like, I consider, what I love about the show is, I don't know if wholesome horror is the right term, but it's not just slam horror. These are good, real people. This can be any of us landing in this town. And I think that's where John's been really successful, is he's created real characters that have dramatic action in their life. It happens to be in a town where there's horrific entities.
Definitely. I think you nailed it. Wholesome horror is the new genre that we'll be going for. The two of you are fantastic. I really appreciate your time. I can't wait for people to check it out. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your support. Yeah, cheers.